10:23 coming to you live from Tampa, Florida, as opposed to dead. It is Thursday, October 17th, 2013. It's about 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast of the United States, again from Tampa. This video is in response to my previous video where I had asked my viewers to, express themselves regarding the latest government shutdown. And I wanted to thank you, those of you that responded. Linda over at eKinney, Sister Linda, incredible channel, by the way, folks. I'm going to have her channel listed in the description part of this video. Linda is incredible. All of her videos are moving. For me, I watch her videos. If everyone had the conscience that Linda possesses, we would be so much further along. She gets it. She understands. She speaks truth to power. And she cares about her fellow human beings. And that's important. That's important. And I really admire you, Linda, for speaking your truth. And the video that you put together to inspire so many people to say no to the war in Syria was really very touching and very moving. And you deserve so much credit for that. I think that it did play a role in the decision making. When the collective consciousness acts in unison, we can change things, and I think there was proof of that in that movement that you spurred on. You and Joy. Hi, Joy. I also want to thank Rick and Chuck and Josh and Felix 3AT, I believe, and Desert Ferret and others who also took the time to respond to my last video. That means a lot. My numbers are going down, and I expect that. I don't do a lot of videos, and when I put up videos that are, that could shake the conscience of some people, I don't expect that a lot of people will be interested in what I have to say, or even in tune with the paradigm shift that we're going through right now. So, anyway, what are my impressions of the shutdown? It's a script. It ended as I expected. I had seen the script before. There is an intent. The true intent of this nonsense, this action, was to vibrate fear, to bring fear amongst the people, and it works. It works because the prostitutes that are supposed to be the fourth estate represent their masters, who run this globe into the ground. They're more than happy to earn a paycheck to be dishonest and deceive the people. They don't get it. They don't care. They're part of the system, and it's been like that for so long that I guess they just wake up and expect to do the bidding of their masters, and they don't even blink anymore as long as they're getting paid for it. The shutdown was a disgrace. It was an absolute and utter disgrace. It was an act brought about by very, very poor representatives. In fact, none of them deserve our respect. None of them deserve the dignity offered or afforded to someone in that position, a position to represent the masses. So many of them don't give a damn about the repercussions of their failures. They don't care. They don't live in our world. They don't live in the world where you actually have to struggle to make a living. They don't live in a world where you live from paycheck to paycheck. They have no understanding whatsoever of the impact that their failures have on individual lives, people who suffer. There will be, if not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and maybe even millions, who will not be paid on time, who have credit cards to pay, who have other loans to pay, who will not have the money in their account to pay on the due date. And they're going to be penalized because of that. They're going to be penalized, and they'll be expected to pay those penalties because these ass clowns decided to jerk us around. I've got to tell you, America, if you vote for these failures, these so-called representatives, if you vote them back into office, do you not deserve what you get? Do we not deserve it? When are we going to raise the standards? When are we going to say it's high time we raise the standards here and we're not going to take this shit anymore? When do we get to the point where we say this nonsense has got to stop? We've got to ask ourselves that. And I haven't even gotten to the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's right there. It's right there. Every video I watch that concerns the political paradigm and much of the social paradigm that we exist in. This 800-pound gorilla is sitting right there, especially in the political paradigm and the economic paradigm. It just sits there, and it's like it's right in front of us, and we won't even look at it. We'll look up and around it. We won't even look at it because we don't want to face it. We could put a stop to this madness in 6 months or less if we really worked as a group in unison. We could literally stop this madness. We could take back our power and control our destiny. But it would take 90% of the collective to act in unison. 10,000 people, 100,000 people, a couple of million people isn't going to cut it. Let me tell you what the 800-pound gorilla is. I think you all know it. It's the income tax. If enough people are fed up and say, you know what, taxation without representation just ain't cutting it. I refuse to pay this debt anymore. I refuse to be a slave to this absolutely corrupt system, this cancerous, malignant cancer that is literally infecting the entire world, not just our country. I refuse to pay to hire law enforcement officers who harass and intimidate, who treat us like we're the enemy. I refuse to pay the banking cabal interest on debt that we didn't ask for. I refuse to be represented by people who do not represent my interests and only the interests of those that buy them their ways into office. It's up to us. We've got to say enough is enough. If anyone out there votes for the majority leader, the speaker, any of these ass clowns in the positions of power in government, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? After this charade, recognizing the harm that this has brought, recognizing how little they think of you, of us, how could you in good conscience, in any conscience, vote these ass clowns back into office? All of them should be fired. In fact, I support a constitutional convention where we change the rules. We shake it up a bit. We should be given the opportunity to fire a senator or a congressman when they haven't done their job. Sign a petition, get a petition started, get a specific number of signatures calling for their ouster, just like they did in California with the governor several years ago. We ought to be able to do that. We ought to take that power back. And you'll hear a lot of the talking heads on TV saying what a bad idea that is, and oh no, we can't do that. Well, we have this constitution, we have this democracy, and blah blah f and blah. No, we don't. We have a fascist oligarchy. We are run into the ground by these sociopaths. And everybody knows this now. I mean, you can sense it, you can feel it, you see it. It's right there before your eyes. People's lives were put on hold so these ass clowns could play a game. So they could bring fear into the hearts and minds of the American people and people around the globe. There are a lot of countries that have invested a lot in this nation. And they're nervous as hell. They see a country that's off the rails. They see an irresponsible group of ass clowns that can't get their act together, that do not represent people's interests. They see this. And it's not just the United States. We have a crisis of magnitude so large that I don't think most people get it. Fukushima is not over, folks. Fukushima is just beginning. If you saw the reports of E&E News last week alone, the radiation levels in areas around Fukushima were 11 times higher than back in March of 2011 when this event occurred. 11 times higher. Look at the starfish, the anchovies. They don't even exist this year on the West Coast. Couldn't catch any. Starfish turning into goo, poisonous tuna. That radiation, today they had to dump tons and tons of radioactive water back into the ocean again today because of the storm. This is, what do they call it, an ELE? An extinction level event. This will be the 5th time around that this species will go through an extinction level event. And you don't hear a word of it on the prostitute news. You're not being told the truth. You're not being clued in on what's really happening around the globe, the important pressing matters. You're being deceived and you're being distracted, being programmed. And those are the facts. Those are the facts. Fukushima is a ticking time bomb, and the government of Japan recognizes it now. It took them long enough. They didn't want to put fear in their population, so they kept it under wraps. They kept telling the people what they wanted to hear. There's no problem here. Everything's fine. Well, the studies show that the cancer rates are through the roof, not just in Japan, but the west coast of the United States. Look at the numbers there, folks. You think that it doesn't matter? You think it doesn't matter? Look at the numbers. We're seeing heavy increases in thyroid cancer and other cancers, birth defects. The Pacific Ocean is a mess. Anyone that eats seafood, anyone that's eating seafood, I say you're playing Russian roulette. God bless you. You know, God bless you. I love seafood, but no more. I won't even drink the green tea from Japan anymore or China. And green tea, I lived on green tea. I can't trust that it's not radioactive, that that it hasn't been poisoned through the isotopes, the cesium and the rest. It's a shame, but you've got to do what you've got to do. We face a lot of problems. The government shutdown was an act. It was a despicable, disgraceful act, committed by a group of ass clowns who don't give a shit about us. And yeah, this is a rant, and I'm expressing myself rather harshly, but it's up to us to change it. It's up to us to do something about it. We will not shift this unless we change our consciousness, unless we raise the frequency and we raise the standards. We've got to set the bar higher, folks. We've got to say enough is enough. We need a constitutional convention if we plan to keep this republic. And God, I could go on so many other things. What was it that said if you were willing to give up liberty for safety, you deserve neither? Come on. There's no privacy anymore. The Constitution is being shredded before our eyes. We don't have a commander-in-chief. We have a king. We have a king. And we have basically a parliament that does not act in the best interests of its constituents. When are we going to say enough is enough? When are we going to say you don't have a right to shut the parks down? That belongs to the people. You represent us. When are we going to put a stop to law enforcement treating the American citizens, their fellow human beings, like they're all criminals and they're all Al-Qaeda, which we created, by the way? When are we going to say, you're here to protect and serve? Remember when you used to do that? When we used to count on you, we could count on you having our backs, and you weren't so gung-ho on arresting people so you could meet a quota or so you could get an extra bonus in your check? We've got to stop worshiping the god of money. We need to stop that. It's going to kill us. It's killing us spiritually. It's killing us morally. It's killing us all around. It will be the death. If Fukushima doesn't do us in, the worship of money will. People are awakening. We've got to do more than awaken. We've got to act. The income tax, stop paying it. Don't bank with the big institutions. Bank locally. Don't buy the GMO foods. Buy from your local grocers. Those that are growing it locally and using organic materials to grow their fruits and vegetables. I have a friend that's growing tomatoes. Oh my God, the best tomatoes I've had in years. And go organic. Don't feed the beasts. In order to bring this beast to its knees, in order to kill it, you have to stop feeding it. We feed the beast with currency. We feed it through our taxes. We feed it by purchasing their products. We feed it by supporting big banking institutions and by supporting the Monsantans of the world. We've got to put a stop to it. We've got to demand higher quality. We have to demand more, better representation, real representation. We've got to put a stop to this the prostitutes in this Congress that's been bought and paid for. They don't represent us. We've got to put a stop to this. We've got to tell the Supreme Court, screw you. I don't give a damn about your Citizens United case. Our representatives need to put a stop to that and say 5 members will not determine what's best for the world. These guys don't represent us anymore. They're under duress. I believe that they're being blackmailed. Clarence Thomas was a damn lawyer for Monsanto. Of course he's going to side with Monsanto. You think he has the integrity to step aside and say, no, there's a conflict of interest here? Hell no. He's paid not to. He's paid to support his masters. If he had any integrity, he would have said, I cannot rule on this case, the latest Monsanto case. It would be a conflict of interest. I have to step aside. As badly as I want to do this, my ethics matter more. It didn't happen. It didn't happen because he doesn't give a shit. The system is corrupt, folks. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you support either side, if you're wearing either party hat, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. It's time to wake up. It's time to put an end to this madness. These people need to be fired. We need to clean house. We need a constitutional convention, and we need to change it. We need to shake it up a little bit. We need to take that Constitution a little more seriously, give it back to the people. We need to stop being treated like a corporation, which the United States is. We're just puppets, folks. The United States is not a country, it's a corporation. It's run by the Bank of England and the Vatican. I mean, I'm not going to even get into that. I could spend an hour and a half on that. But we need to recognize our own power. We need to take it back. So enough of my rant. I'm just concerned. And again, thank you for those that responded. It ended, the shutdown ended just as I predicted, just as many of us have predicted. It's all a charade. It's a disgrace that our veterans couldn't even go to their own memorial without being accosted by the thugs with badges and guns. They're being paid to harass and intimidate, to treat their fellow citizens like trash. And how they sleep at night is beyond me. I don't get it. And why are we paying taxes to support this army of fools who do not treat us like human beings? Why are we paying to get cancer through Monsanto? Why do we do this? Why do we bring this misery about ourselves? Well, because we're stuck, trapped in a consciousness that created this mess. We have got to shift frequencies. We've got to shift to a higher frequency. We have to change our consciousness. We have to recognize the state that we're in. The alcoholic, the drug addict, they will not admit it until they reach rock bottom, until they hit rock bottom. And then they finally say, okay, I've got a problem. You can't even get them to admit it. You can't get more than half the United States, the people in this country, to admit it. You can't get a third of the world to admit it. We've got a problem, folks. Houston, we have a problem. In this case, Gaia, we have a problem. And we've got to do something. Enough with the talk. You need to do something. You need to act on behalf of humanity. You need to express yourself. I'm all for shutting down every nuclear facility. We have to slowly shut them down. We should not renew any of the licenses. We should demand the president not renew these licenses. The Keystone Pipeline needs to stop. We have free energy devices that are being held back because there's no profit to be made. We have the technology. We have the cures for cancer. We have all of this as a species. We have it. It's not in reach, though, because we're being kept from it. We're being kept from the truth. And the powers that be, hopefully that were, are holding us back, holding our evolution back, and people are dying because of it. And enough is enough. We've got to stand up. So anyway, thanks again for watching. This was a rant, I know, and like the again, but I feel like expressing myself sometimes too, and I do appreciate those of you that stick around. If you're even still here, it does matter, and I do appreciate it. So it's Eagle 1023. I'm going to sign out. Again, have faith, have hope, act on your behalf. We need to put an end to this madness, and we can do this. Let's collectively come up with an idea. If anybody has any ideas, I would love to start, a grassroots petition where we get 100 million Americans that say they're not going to pay income taxes by April next year. That we're going to put a stop to this until we're represented. We refuse to pay. I'm not going to put my neck on the line. I'm going to be a good citizen for now because me being in trouble isn't going to solve the problem, and I recognize that. It's going to take the collective. So if there are enough people out there that want to come together and say we've got to put a stop to this, so be it. Somebody that's much more popular and has much more wide appeal than I. But there are solutions available. We've just got to put them into action. So anyway, again, it's Eagle 1023 signing out. I wish all of you the best. Be in joy, no fear, and I'll be back soon. Okay, namaste.